All right, so I'm going to do something very different here. I put a layer of Damar varnish over the whole painting. Retouch varnish. That's not different. What's different is I always wait till that dries before painting on top of a semi-dry retouch varnish layer. The reason I put the retouch varnish is because the oil of the paint has been sucked out of it. It goes down in layers, and what's left is this very dry looking, chalky looking layer of paint. So it's different. It's difficult for anyone to assess the values and make decisions on future layers when the bottom layer is dry and not saturated looking. So now everything looks saturated, everything looks wet, but the only thing that's wet is this retouch varnish that's on it. I could leave the painting the way it is and start to put color on it. However, there's these little nuances that I want to investigate. For example, the main shape, simple basic shape of this mug is a cylinder. It looks cylindrical. Let me get this to the side. It looks like that, right? It's basically a cylinder. But I haven't followed that concept throughout the entire mug. So this looks cylindrical-ish, but then up here on the mouth of the mug, I didn't follow this form shadow. See how the form shadow is rather left of the mug? And then on the rim here, it just doesn't correlate. Like, where was my brain? I don't know. So I need to bring this darkness, turn this form across this rim this way. I also want to investigate the left side of this mug. I'm not convinced that it should get that black. I think that's a mistake. So I need to look into that. And also, when I look at the still life, there's a cast shadow underneath the rim, in addition to the form shadow of the rim, I think. Let me break out the monocular and make a closer inspection. So I use this monocular. It's Japanese. It's super high quality. I'm a big advocate for quality materials. Okay, so I'm looking at that rim, and I do see a slight cast shadow around it. I need to incorporate that. Another detail I'm noticing is this is not following the form here. This is turning, and then an abrupt darkness here. So it doesn't feel like it's turning any longer. Whereas if this was catching light, it wouldn't turn that black that fast. Also, yeah, that needs to change. A discovery I made, which I was fighting back and forth with, and I initially made the wrong decision, is that the blackness of this handle is pure black, where the blackness of this cast shadow is one step below pure black. I had it reversed. I had made this pure black and made this one step below, and it wasn't working. I'm glad I made that mistake because I saw it and I corrected it. And that's what painting's about. It's all about a culmination of right and wrong decisions built upon each other, put next to each other, and trying to get it cohesive, trying to get it to make sense. Make sense beautifully. That's the key word. And that, I don't want it to look like a mess. I always want it to look beautiful. That's why I gotta fix this. This is irking me. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is break out some black and white and oil and make myself a couple of puddles. And start working from there. And just as a reminder, I like to work with fresh paint. I think it makes a huge difference in the quality of and the practice of applying paint. If I painted every day, maybe I would freeze it. If I painted in color and I painted every day, I'd try to save some paint in the freezer. I think I really would. For as long as I worked in this style. Like I said in the past, the goal is to eventually get to the point where I can paint alla prima. And be done with that part of the painting in one sitting. Not go back into it. That'd be the goal. One day. Because then you're really producing. You know, then you're banging out these paintings every 3 hours. You got a new painting or a new section of the painting. Okay, so that's black. That's Roman black. I'm gonna squeeze out some ivory black next to it in case I need it. It's very liquidy. I don't like that. I need to hang this upside down like this, and gravity will force the pigment down and the oil will come up here. It'll be a little drier down here. So now I have my Flemish white. And same thing, I'm gonna add oil to it. I dropped my palette butter side down. That sucks. Oh, I got some paint all over the floor that I gotta clean up. Okay, so I'm gonna pull some aside. Put it right there, because I'm gonna add some black to that. I'm gonna spread that out. Okay, I'm gonna grab that white, put it up here, my palette. I'm gonna grab some black, mix it in. I don't care what value it is. I just need a mixture of the black and white to get going. And I'll put it somewhere here. And for those of you watching, if you need a number, because it'll make you feel better, it's about a 4. Okay. I'm using a palette. Let's take a look at this painting, at this still life. I need to work that out first. Okay. So like I said, I think that's too dark. The thing is, the next value down is the value that casts shadow. I'm gonna put something white behind the still life so I can really get a feel for that. So this is just a white canvas, the same stuff that I'm painting on, and I'm gonna put it behind the still life so I can get a better judge of how quickly that form is turning. All right, so it seems clear to me that I went too dark on that. It's just impossible for it to get that dark. It throws the cylindrical, the concept of this being cylindrical off. It throws the concept off. It competes with the darkness here. This is going to be tricky, but this is why I do this. So I'm not complaining. I'm using a double-aught rosemary eclipse pointed round. And I'm going to go down that with pure Roman black. That seems to be working for me. And again, this has a layer of wet varnish on it, retouching varnish. I don't think I've done that in the past. If I have, I don't remember what the outcome is. I had an instructor named Martha Erlbacher who would say, if future generations think your work is good enough, they'll find a way to preserve it. But let me put that in context. She didn't say that to work haphazardly. She said that so you don't feel handcuffed by innovation. And I know the word innovation sounds excessive for painting over wet varnish. But if you've listened to me before, I've said that it's important to have these words of grandeur, these words that elevate these techniques, this craft, out of mundane and into art, into poetry. I think that helped a lot. There's a bump here that I'm gonna get rid of before I start painting this in color. Maybe I should try to get rid of it now. That may have worked. Let me see. I think so. So that bump was right on the edge right on the contour of the drawing of the mug. Which is a problem because I'm trying to convince myself that this is the event horizon, not a contour. And that bump just reminded me that this is just a contour. It's not an event horizon. I had to get rid of it. And the event horizon just means that it's a point where it's as far as the eye can see. However, the subject continues beyond that. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to pull some of that wet paint across this form. And I'm going to stay on the left of this mug and work my way over that. No, I'm going to I want to put this rim in. And there's a cast shadow for that rim. Okay. So this darkness is too wide there. I'm gonna lift up what I put down. I got some of it up, not all of it. Okay. I'm gonna switch brushes, grab the flat one. See if I can scrub that off. It seemed to have worked. Let me try that again. This is interesting. I thought working on top of wet varnish was going to be a problem. It's not. It may become a problem later when it's setting. But while it's slick and wet, it's not a problem. I'm gonna add a little dot of ivory black to that corner, but it needs liquid. Ivory black always needs liquid. You guys heard what I said? Ivory black always needs liquid. Just a little bit, because all I have is a little bit. And that liquid will help the ivory black dry. I recently saw a new product. It had liquid in a tube. I'm gonna give that a whirl. I think I'd like that better. Okay, so my ivory black has liquid in it. That'll help it dry. I grabbed a smaller brush. This is a 4-aught-D Artisan Shop Minute Series 7 round. And I just need a dot of it. Right at the very edge, right here. That's it. So with the dry brush, I am going to soften this point here that I created. Okay. I'm gonna pull some of the mug's value into that line. Basically, I'm shaping that corner there. Okay. This has to lighten up later. I need to stay in this area and work it around. So here we go. Pull this back out. Take a look what's happening. Okay, so essentially there's a transition here that I didn't reflect in my painting. Let's work on that. So I'm pulling out some Roman black and some of this gray. I'm gonna mix it up, see what I get. Now, interestingly, because I put so much oil in this, this is already setting. I can feel it stiffening. Okay, this is not as the darkness that I needed, so I'm gonna add a lot more. And then I'll reassess. It took me a long time to understand the idea of making my decisions on the palette before committing to the surface of the painting. So I'm analyzing it here, trying to make the best decisions through trial and error. And I'm bringing it up to my painting, laying some paint down, and thinking, is it too light? Is it too dark? Does it work? All right. So that's a nice value. That's the pretty much the lightest I can get for the rim. So it's got to get darker, is what I'm saying. So what you saw me do was just grab some Roman black, put it into this mixture here. And once again, so you're seeing me spin the brush, and what that's doing is I'm spinning and pulling, leaving excess paint behind. And I'm shaping the brush as I spin it. Okay, I think that's what I want right there. I'm going to grab my flat brush. I'm going to pull the paint off that I put there, because that first value that I felt was incorrect was too light. Okay. And now, remember I'm here, I'm gonna crawl up. And behind. This is pretty dark over here. That needs to be addressed a little differently, but let me work on this. That original value that I mixed is now going to come in handy. And I think it can get lighter even. Okay, and I'm trying to imagine the light in the context of this painting. It's over my left shoulder, over my head, behind me, behind my left shoulder. And it's hitting this rim right here. Okay. And this is why I used a maul stick, because if my hand were on top of this, I didn't want to touch it. If my hand were on top of this flat surface, my brain would lose the connection with the illusion of this being three-dimensional. I'm trying to convince myself that this is a real cup in real space, and that I'm modeling with this paint as if it were clay, as if some clay or substance were flowing out of my brush and being left behind in here. Almost, I've never used it, but I've seen people use, and I've YouTubed people using ZBrush on the internet, ZBrush on a computer. It's just like that. except I'm imagining the effect of ZBrush as opposed to actually using ZBrush. I've actually considered buying the hardware and software to play around with ZBrush in an effort to supplement my form turning. It's just too expensive right now. But I'm essentially doing the same thing that ZBrush artists do, except they do it a lot faster. Okay. So that darkness of this rim comes out on the other side. Okay, I think he's gonna get a lot darker than that. So you can all appreciate how much time this takes. This is really boring stuff, but I enjoy it. Okay, so I don't think I went dark enough there. I need to add, I may go straight black. Straight Roman black. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I think this needs it too, right over here. I think I can bring that level of darkness all the way across his rim. Like that. And now I gotta soften a few edges here. I gotta switch brushes, what I have to do. This double odd. And double odd is slang for 2 zeros. So instead of them putting 2 zeros here, which they could do, they'll put the number 2. And they could put 3 zeros, 4 zeros, or put 0, 0, 0, 0. So this one says 4-aught. I don't know if you could see it. It's up there. It's very small. There you go. So it's 4 zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0. Well, it's been 50 minutes. I'm gonna need a break soon. Let me just soften these edges and then take my break. So first I'm gonna think of across the x-axis, up and down. And I'm pushing that lighter value into the darker value. Around this rim. So I was pulling and it wasn't efficient enough, so I'm pushing. And then now I'm pulling again. I'm pulling the dark into the lighter value. It's almost like I'm weaving values. And this is the process. This is how long it takes. And again, this is just my own neurosis, I guess. I was not happy with the finish. I wasn't happy with calling it done. I needed to bring it to this level. And I can promise you that in some time, whether it's a year from now or 5 years from now, this level of finish won't satisfy me. I'll be looking to push it to another level of refinement. I'm in an endless loop, an endless search of refinement. I'm okay with that. You know what I haven't used that I should be using is my black mirror. So I got this black mirror that I ordered from Zecchi or Zecchi, probably Zecchi, someplace in Italy. See, made it in Italy. And I just hold it up like this and look at the reverse of my painting. What it does is it compresses the values slightly, enough where it's easier for me to make decisions. Pretty happy with that. There's this triangle here. It's a little sharp. Don't think I like it. Bring that in a bit. I'm gonna pull this darkness across the back. So it fades away a little smoother. Doesn't just abruptly die in space. That's too abrupt. That needs a lighter value there. I'm gonna bring it so the light's coming from here. It's falling on that rim. It's going ding 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 ding. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna start bouncing around, but I need to take a break and then start working across the right side of that. All right, there's a little darkness over here that I don't like. Let me clean this brush first. So I'm pushing that darkness back. Okay, and beneath it too. This got too dark too fast. That's not dark enough. Okay, so now I'm like pushing and pulling. Is this too dark? Is this too light? I'm working within a very narrow value range. And what I'm mentally doing is moving my perspective from this narrow focus here to the whole mug and back and forth like this. Does the micro work within the macro? And if the answer is no, then I gotta adjust it. It's trial and error. Like, I'm gonna settle with that because I don't know what else I can do here. Okay. Yeah, that's it.